She walked into the police station on a quiet Sunday morning. No lawyer, no hesitation, just one sentence. I remember everything. I remember what I did. The officer on duty blinked. He'd never seen her before. There was no missing person report, no open case, no record of any crime connected to her. But she wasn't lying. She remembered every detail. The places, the people, the night it happened. A murder that no one else remembered. In a gray, sterile interrogation room, under the hum of fluorescent lights, she sat calmly. Her name was Ilara Monroe. Miss Monroe? Detective Grant's voice cut through the silence. You're saying you committed a murder in 1993? She nodded. I was 13. I buried the truth, but it never stopped following me. When asked about the victim, she hesitated. I don't know his name, but I see his face every night. They ran her fingerprints, her records, her family history. Nothing. No missing person, no evidence, no link to any unsolved case. Yet, Ilara described places that no longer existed. An abandoned school, a lake that had dried up, a house that burned down decades ago. She even drew a map, entirely from memory. And that's when things started to unravel. The map led them to a forgotten town called Ashfield, evacuated after a massive flood in 1994. Most people never came back. Walking through its empty streets felt like a homecoming for Ilara. She pointed to a street corner. There was a phone booth here. To an empty lot, there was a small blue house. He lived there. But there was nothing. Just silence and wind. Then, something caught the detective's attention. At the edge of town stood the skeletal remains of a video store. Inside, untouched by time, were rows and rows of old VHS tapes. Ilara froze when she saw them and whispered, "They recorded everything here." The detectives took a few tapes, all labeled only with dates from 1993 and 1994. Most were blank, damaged by time and moisture. But one tape, marked June 12, 1993, still played. First static, then a faint sound. A girl, barely 13, walked down a quiet road, holding a bicycle. She looked into the camera for just a second and smiled. No one recognized the street, but Ilara whispered, "That's me." And she was right. It was her. The same birthmark, the same eyes. There was only one impossible problem. Ilara wasn't born until 1997. Ilara began remembering things she couldn't possibly have lived. Names, sounds, fragments of laughter in old rooms. A cat she never owned. A melody from a piano no one else could recall. Psychologists suggested it was cryptomnesia, false memories formed from stories or images seen long ago. But the more she remembered, the more eerily specific it became. She described entire streets from the old flood maps of Ashfield, down to the location of street lamps that hadn't stood for 30 years. And when she described the lake that dried up, she said something no one expected. "There's something buried at the center, something I hid." A search team was dispatched to the cracked, desolate lakebed. They found no human remains, no evidence of a crime. Just soil, silence, and a single rusted tin box. Inside were old photographs, letters, and a key. Each photo showed people who once lived in Ashfield, but one face appeared again and again, a teenage girl, identical to Ilara. And on the back of every photo, the same words were written, "Forgetting is mercy." Weeks passed. Ilara was placed under observation in a quiet facility. Doctors began recording her therapy sessions, but soon, the devices started picking up something else. When Ilara spoke, faint whispers could be heard layered just beneath her voice. At first, they dismissed it as interference, but when they slowed the recordings down, they discovered the whispers were repeating her words perfectly, just a fraction of a second later. Like an echo that wasn't hers. Experts couldn't explain it. The pattern never broke. Every time Ilara remembered something new, another whisper followed, as if someone else was remembering it too. One day, Ilara asked to see the tapes from Ashfield again. She pointed to a shelf on the far right of the screen. "There's one missing," she said. "The one that shows how it ends." The detectives checked their evidence logs. She was right. A single tape had been mislabeled and stored elsewhere. Its title card read, June 13, 1993, 3:17 a.m. When they played it, Static filled the screen. Then, a flicker. The same street, the same small blue house Alara had drawn from memory. The camera pans slowly to the window. Inside, a woman sits, holding a child. The woman looks directly at the camera. It's Alara, but older, her smile tinged with sadness. Then, the tape cuts to black. After that day, Alara stopped speaking. Doctors said her memories began to collapse in on themselves, the old ones merging with the new like overlapping film reels. But one night, when the hospital lights dimmed, a nurse saw her standing by the window, whispering to her own reflection. I didn't remember a murder. I remembered a life that wasn't mine. The next morning, Alara was gone. Not missing, gone. Her clothes, her belongings, even her hospital records had vanished. All that remained was the tin box she'd dug up, and resting inside it, a single VHS tape. Its label simply read, "Memory, do not rewind." The detectives played it one last time. Static, faint light. A girl sits on a park bench, smiling into the camera, but behind her the reflection in a glass window shows the same bench, completely empty. As the image fades to black, her voice whispers softly, "If you remember everything, you remember nothing at all." Some memories aren't lived, they're borrowed. Thank you so much for watching. If you were captivated by this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more mysteries that challenge what we think we know. We'll see you in the next one.